Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are back for Married at First Sight, Season 18, for the reunion part 2 and my recap review part 2. The first review I only did it of Madison and David. I had to go back and watch the rest of the review to see what these folks were talking about. And I already done come up with my title because y'all know I like to retitle my videos. And the title I done come up with is What's Wrong with These People? What's wrong with these people? Specifically, what's wrong with Juan, Brandon, and to be honest with y'all, I had a big problem with Camille on the reunion. I sure did. I know you might be surprised by it, but I'm going to tell you why I had a big surprise with her. Because wasn't she the one talking about why these people act like they know me? They don't know me, she and Juan. We may not know you, but we know people like you. Listen, people don't have to know you all the way to know enough about you to see, I know a lot of people like you. And all of a sudden, these people think we can't have no opinions. We can't come to no type of sort of opinions or whatever else because we ain't known them for 10 years. No, 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 no. We've seen enough. We've seen enough. And when it comes to Camille, those previews are showing us that what we said during the season, or let me say what I said during the season, is still going on. Thomas is still complaining about there ain't no action in the bedroom. There ain't no action in the love department. And you got Camille running around all season long talking about the check is in the mail. It's coming. When we get married, when you open up, when you do this, it's coming. It's coming. It still ain't here. The check is in the slow mail, Thomas. It ain't coming. So what we're seeing now with Camille and Thomas, I can't wait to next week. I can't wait to next week to see the whole part of it. But the fact that it came out Thomas's mouth that they're still struggling in the passion department, but Camille started off this whole season talking about how she was such a sex vixen. Camille, we don't need to know nothing more. We've seen enough. We know what we've seen. To be honest with you, Madison and David have more chemistry than Thomas and Camille. I was trying to give Camille the benefit of doubt towards the end that she was going to show up. She was going to get her nice, comfy, secure marriage. She was going to let her walls down and it was going to come out. But nope, it didn't come out. She ain't coming out because she's not there. See, that's the part we're trying to get to, Camille. You're not the person you describe. And that's why a lot of these people are upset with the mafs fans peeping them out. Because what the mafs cast this year wants to do, what they all want to do, everybody this year, what they all wanted to do was they wanted to present a certain person to the experts. That's who they wanted to present to the experts so that they could get on the show and they could get matched. And then what happened was we learned of who they really are. And now what they want us to believe is the person they describe to the experts, but not who we saw. Nope. We're going to believe our eyes. That's what we're going to do, Maths Cast. We're going to believe our eyes. We're not going to believe how you describe yourself. Juan, Juancho, Pancho. No, we're not doing that. Because the one thing we do over here at my YouTube channel is me and my audience, the one thing that we are lockstep in agreement with. We don't always agree on everything, but what we agree with is we are people who believe with our eyes and not our ears. And we're not going to be fooled. We're not going to, you know who else wasn't fooled this season? They brought him back, Luffy. Thank you, Luffy. Instead of saving Luffy to the very end, they really should have let Luffy come out on that stage. And Luffy should have been like one of them dogs sniffing that you see at the airport, right? Them dogs that be going around sniffing people for drugs or contraband or whatever else. We should have let Luffy run around on that stage and go up and sniff up on everybody and pick out all the cheaters. Let's see who's still cheating. And Camille, you better hope it ain't your man Thomas. That's what you better hope for. Camille was running around trying to talk about, oh yeah, ooh, yeah, these fans be acting like they really know us. They don't really know us. But, there was some fans on here talking about how good I looked, how fine I was. Camille, girl, no. We all been in the comments. We've been reading the comments. And let me tell you, I see less comments about how fine you are. And I see more comments about if Camille don't treat her man right, I'ma take him. There's a whole lot of Madisons out here on Instagram, YouTube comments. There's a whole lot. So when Camille and Thomas are sitting over here hanging out with David and Madison, Camille better realize that just like Madison rubbed up on David when Michelle was pushing him away, guess what? There's going to be a Madison in your future that's going to rub up on your husband because you push him away. I see it. I already can see it. Okay? And the fact that you said you was afraid that Thomas would leave you just like he did that last one for 10 years, then do something. Girl, you need to do something. I don't know what's got you stuck, Camille. Like I told you, I know what it is. I done analyzed you the whole season, but you need to know it for yourself. Instead of you telling folks we don't know you, you need to get to know yourself. Get to know yourself. But we're going to get into all of this, y'all. All of this. So let us move ahead. And I'm going to play this intro video. And I want you guys to please like my video, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And we're going to get this party started. So this part 2 kicked off with the segment between Carla and Juancho Pancho. And for Juancho, y'all, I'm going to have to bring out my chicken. I got to bring him back. I got to bring back the chicken for Juancho. Because you know what? Juancho. I tell you, that Instagram video he did was a disaster where he came out talking about Carla. From what I hear, I don't know. I thought I heard he retracted it and issued an apology. I don't know. I haven't seen the apology and I haven't even checked his Instagram to see if he retracted it, but he needs to. He needs to. And Juancho was sitting on here when they first introduced him and they were like, well, what is it that you like about, Carla, Juancho? Well, I love her eyes. And I love her great personality. That's not what you said in that Instagram video. That's not what you said in that Instagram video. And she said that she loves that he's goal-driven and he's really into his businesses, plural, and his family. That's fine. But when I look at this picture of this girlfriend, she don't look too impressed. I tell you, for this whole little segment that I'm going to talk about Juancho Pancho, I'm either going to be using the chicken or I'm going to be using this picture of his girlfriend as my meme because she is not impressed. You see, Carla pointed out what I was just doing in my introduction rant, that what these two or what people presented to the actual experts is not really who they are in their core. And so what Carla pointed out is that she and Juan are really two completely different people. And what Juan likes to present to us is his fun, outgoing, dancing, singing machine. That's what he wants to present to us. But the fact of the matter is, what Carla was saying is, he's actually analytical. He's not spontaneous. He's very, very careful. He's very, very careful, and he's very, very cautious. That's who Juan really is. And so that's why it became a really, really bad match, because Carla is kind of the opposite of that. She's actually more of a wide open book. And what Carla said was, as she's learned throughout this season, that in the beginning of a relationship, because she is such a wide open book, she might need to tone it down in the beginning of a relationship so that the person isn't overwhelmed. It doesn't mean that the person maybe can't acclimate to Carla. So it doesn't mean that she has to be fake completely. But what she recognized was that in the beginning, it might be too much. Because a lot of people wanted to classify Carla as ditzy in the clouds. And what they actually found out is she's not like that. She actually has much more of a balance than they thought. And I recognize that in Carla. And I also recognize in Juan that he isn't as happy-go-lucky as he tries to present. He's actually very, very negative. Very, very negative. So when Juan went around on that video and everywhere else talking about how the reason he didn't really connect with Carla was because he wasn't into all this esoteric stuff, talking about vibration and getting in touch with who you are, we come to find out he likes it even more than what he said. Because I already pointed out throughout the season, if you start to listen to Juan's speech, he started to talk more and more like Carla. Although his words were saying that he didn't like what Carla did, his actions start to be more in alignment with what Carla was doing. Carla exposed him, say, listen, Juancho's the one going out here on a little trip all by himself, talking about he want to get in touch with nature. You see, this is stuff that Juan wants to act like turned him off by Carla. But really what it was that he was scared of Carla. He was scared of the deep introspection work that Carla had done. And what he didn't want from Carla, he didn't want Carla prying into him because he was not ready to unearth and upend all those deep, dark secrets. A lot of y'all out here dropping down in my comments saying you believe Juan's got some really, really deep, dark secrets, and that's why he's so afraid of Carla revealing them. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. I don't know what they are. Some of y'all got some speculation out there, and I don't know what they are, but I do agree with you that for him to get on Instagram and do what he did, he's got some skeletons in the closet, and he was definitely afraid of Carla exposing them. I agree. He ran around talking about, well, the problem with Carla wasn't attraction, but it was just her lifestyle. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I really don't believe it was the lifestyle, to be honest with y'all. I think he was afraid of the lifestyle. I think he was afraid of what the lifestyle would expose in him. You see, when you don't want to be exposed, when you're trying to be fake, when you're trying to be phony, when you're trying to be a person that you're not, the last thing you want around you is a spotlight, enlightenment. You want darkness. You want to hide. And that's what Juan wants to do. He wants to hide. Some of y'all say he want to hide in the closet. I don't know where he wants to hide, but I know for sure he don't want no spotlight and he don't want no enlightenment. I was glad that Carla told the experts, no, I knew early on that Juan wasn't into me, because when a man tells you, I'm not interested in you, or not say, I forgot about you, and he goes off, and when he comes back, instead of apologizing, his explanation is, yeah, I did forget about you. That's your first big indicator that he don't want you. Absolutely. And what I liked about Carla, everybody wants to say, Carla isn't real. She lives in the clouds. But guess what? She heard and she saw what she saw, and she didn't turn her head to it. She didn't turn her head to it. Basically, what she said about Juan is Juan beats to his own drum. Like I said, selfish. He beats to his own drum. And as long as you go along with what Juan thinks, believes, and wants to do, he'll be fine with you. But the minute you have any sort of wishes, ideas about yourself, then you probably gonna start looking like this girlfriend of his. Remember early on in the season when Juan and Carla first met, this is before he even decided he wasn't gonna like her, he said, Carla, I love your energy, I love your spirit. He said, but I hope this is the real you and you don't change. And I remember thinking, well, why would you say that, Juan? Because it sounds like what you're saying is you've been around a lot of women that what they do is they start off one way and then they change. And I believe them. Because I think what Juan does is he presents one way, right? And so he attracts women. A lot of women are going to just be attracted to Juan because they consider him good looking. And then what they're going to find out is he's good looking, but he's selfish. And so the good looks are only going to carry you so far. So I believe Juan when he says that women start off smiling when they first get with him, and they're all nice and they're enthusiastic and they're willing to please him. But slowly but surely, the women start looking like this. I believe in Juan, but Juan, you're going to have to take a little bit of responsibility for when a woman goes like this to this. Because when a woman's smile starts disappearing from her face, it's disappearing for a reason. And instead of saying it's all the woman's fault, maybe you ought to look at yourself. Really. I'm really tired of Juan not doing any more self-reflection. He got on this show. He blamed Carla. He blamed the audience. When are you going to look at yourself, Juan? You. He even tried to defend himself against the other men, saying, when we was on the honeymoon, all these other men are running around buying their women massages and stuff. And basically and Carla jumped in and said, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with buying your woman a massage? Not cheapo Juan, not Pancho Wancho, cheapo Wancho, not him. He said, I'm not doing that because I was showing my love or not love. I was by being loyal, faithful, honest, and I didn't even cheat. Oh, really, Juan? Is that what you want to say? You weren't loyal to Carla. You were loyal to yourself. Okay? You weren't honest. You weren't honest with the audience. You ain't even honest with yourself. So all this, I don't need to do nothing nice for Carla because what was nice alone was the fact that I didn't cheat on her. What? Is now David the barometer? Is now David the measurement of whether or not you're a good husband? Because as long as you didn't cheat like David did and Madison did, you was a good husband. No, you was a horrible husband, Juan. Like I said, all that toxic positivity trying to turn shit into caviar. It was shit, Juan. It was absolutely shit. Carla runs around talking about they had good communication and it's the best communication she's had in any relationship because, girl, it wasn't a relationship. The part that makes communication hard between a couple is because the couple is emotionally invested in each other. That's what complicates the communication. It's easy to communicate with people you're not in love with because your feelings aren't involved. So, Carla, I hate to tell you that it's a false sense of comfort that the communication with Juan was the best you've ever had in a relationship because you really can't say that yet because you didn't really have an intimate, loving relationship with Juan. So it really didn't test the communication. Communication is tested between two people when there are deep feelings involved because the test is, can you continue to communicate well even though a person who you love has deeply hurt you, harmed you, or made you feel a certain kind of way? That's when your communication is tested. Your communication isn't always just tested with people who you're friends with. I mean, look at us. We all have girlfriends that we've been friends with for 20, 30 years. Sure, do we need to have good communication with them? Yes, but it's not the same type of communication you need to have with a person who you're sexually involved with, intimately involved with, and that you love in a more, that you love in a way in which you love a person who's actually your partner. It's quite different, Carla. So that's good that you and Juan weren't fussing and fighting, but it don't count, girl. It don't count. You can't count this as no real, like you said, you was a born again virgin. You didn't consummate the marriage. So this doesn't count. So continue to work on your communication in a real relationship. And Carla says she ain't seeing no one right now. And but Juan said he got a new Brazilian girlfriend, this one right here. She don't look too happy. But Juan said he's in the same vibration as his girlfriend. Vibration, Juan. I thought these were words and situations and circumstances you don't want to use. You get the chicken. You get the chicken, Juan. Really, Juan, we don't need no more Instagram videos from you. We don't need no more posts. We don't need I don't follow you. And I hope none of your posts go viral anymore because I really don't need to see any more of this toxic positivity and Juan trying to present a person to us that's not the real Juan and then blaming us because we see the real Juan and he still wants us to see the person he wants to describe, but that's never showing up. No, Juan. We're going to believe what we see. We're not going to believe what you tell us. And I'm so glad that my audience is more sophisticated enough to now, finally, people are starting to not believe the bullshit of Juan. I'm really, really happy. Where's Luffy? Bring Luffy in. Thank you, Luffy. Go sniff around Juan and let us know what other kind of bullshit he got going on. As the show progressed, they brought out the experts, Dr. Pia, who was looking lovely with her pregnant belly for her little miracle baby coming. So happy for Dr. Pia. I know she's late in the stage of the age in which you might bear children. So I'm happy that she got her miracle baby, her and her husband. I love that for her. Um, we'll see. We'll see if these experts make it over to Peacock. Do y'all believe these experts are going to make it over to Peacock? Or are they going to get rid of Dr. Pia, Pastor Cal, and Dr. Pepper? I wonder if they're going to get rid of them. And I guess he's also Keisha Knight Pulliam. I like Keisha Knight Pulliam this season. I hope they keep her if they continue with the sort of after party. In fact, I would actually love for Keisha Knight Pulliam to do the after party with her husband, Brad James. I thought that those two as a couple doing the after party together, I think they would make a really nice duo. I do believe that we need a little bit new blood in terms of the experts. I'm not trying to get nobody's jobs taken away, but it's been a long while. And after a while, some people need to retire. I know Michelle tried to confront the experts head on. You know, Michelle is going to call out it right away. And Michelle tried to confront the experts and say, hey, I heard that in the blogs, she didn't want to say in the blogs, but that's where it came from because that's where we saw it too in the comment sections, that originally they were going to pair Madison with David, but then they didn't do it. I tell you this, I didn't really buy the explanation of Pastor Cal because when Michelle asked the question, the first person who spoke up and shut it down immediately was Pastor Cal and Dr. Pia. But the person who kept their mouth shut was Dr. Pepper. And if you read the comment section or you read the blogs or wherever it came from, the story was told that it was Dr. Pepper who did want to put Madison and David together. It was actually Dr. Pepper who wanted to do it, and that it was overridden. Dr. Pepper's first notion was overwritten by Pastor Cal and Dr. Pia. So when they told Michelle there is no truth to her rumor that we actually put David and Madison together at first, I think that doesn't really dispel the rumor because what he said was there's no truth that we put them together. But where there could have been a follow-up question was there ever conversation around it? You see, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes the truth is in the details. And sometimes you can't say, did you put them together and then change your mind? They may never have come to the conclusion to put them together, but there could have been some discussion about it. And from what the rumor said, Dr. Pepper was the one who wanted to put them together. And when that little conversation went on, Dr. Pepper never opened her mouth. She never confirmed nor denied it. So to be honest with you, at this point, sorry, Pastor Cal, the rumor lives on in my mind. The rumor is still alive. But I was happy to see that of all the people who read the blogs, read the comments, Michelle seems to be the only person right now owning it. She seems to be owning it because what Michelle finally admitted to was that she was a big, big brat, and that she does need to work on bringing her walls down even more in the beginning of a relationship. Bravo, bravo to you, Michelle. Because of everybody else out here, they act like the audience, the fans' comments are worth nothing. They're worth nothing. And what Michelle did was she at least owned the fact that people peeped her out. She owned it. She owned her mess. And for that part of Michelle, I'm going to give her credit. And let me tell you something. The people who grow are the people who can listen and weed out the stuff that's not good. Some people are mean and malicious, but also look at the intent of some people where they're actually trying to help you in your life going forward. And hopefully it sounds like that's what Michelle did, because Michelle's problems were obvious, very, very clear. So I was happy to hear her come out her own mouth and going forward that she's going to make a concerted effort that when she meets people, she's going to have her walls down. She's not going to be doing this self-fulfilling prophecy, which is thinking the worst about everyone and then waiting and watching for all her own predictions to come true, because that's a slippery slope to nowhere, right? And she's going to own the fact that she was mean and nasty and a brat to David. And in the previews, we see her going over to David and actually apologizing to David. I wonder how that's going to make Madison feel. I wonder how that's going to make Madison feel, because it looks like Michelle is also going to swallow some more pride. And on this next, where are they now, 1 year later, she going to go over to David and she going to apologize a little bit more. So good for you, Michelle. I love to see a person grow, and I'm happy to see that she's growing. But one person that ain't growing is Eijii. Eijii ain't growing, y'all. I mean, when they asked Eijii how he was doing, Eijii said he doing well. Eijii said he is doing well, and he said he's just happy to have a little bit of alone time by himself, be a little bit selfish, and concentrate on himself. Boy, you did that all season long. What the hell are you talking about, Eijii? You happy for it all to be over so you can concentrate on yourself, be alone, and be a little bit selfish. What's the difference, Eijii? I tell you what, Eijii came on here firing on all 5 cylinders at talking about she didn't really want to get to know me. I didn't really want to be in the room with her. I didn't really want to be in her energy. None of that. You know what? should have borrowed the line from Carla. Carla had one of the best lines this episode when she told it to Juan. And what she told to Juan was, if I irritate you that much, I invite you to sit with yourself. Let me tell you something. That is the best comment that I have heard in a long time. That if I irritate you that much, then I invite you to sit with yourself. Let that sink in with y'all for a little bit. Let that sink in. And it's going to hit you later on today. It's going to hit you later on today. And I bet you some of y'all going to use that later on in your life, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to use it. The next time someone is irritated by me so much that they go above and beyond what they should be doing, I'm going to tell them, I get it. I get it. But if I irritate you that much, I invite you to go sit with yourself. Don't come over here and sit with me. That's basically what I'm saying. If I irritate you that much, then don't come over here. Go sit over there with yourself. Woo, 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 woo. And you know what? That should be what people tell Eijii. So now Eijii is sitting over there in the corner somewhere by himself. And finally he got on here and he admitted that at some point, maybe the reason why he was so irritated by is because he didn't want her. Thank you. Thank you, Eijii. It's not because of what she was doing. It was because you didn't want her. Like I said, you really can't grow if every time you want to assign your negative emotions to be because of what someone else did to you. People who run from their feelings and don't take ownership of their feelings, they never actually solve their own problems. So what Eijii can do is run around and say the reason he feels the way he feels is because of what was doing. He never really sits with the fact that his emotions are his own emotions and they can come from other places besides external forces. They can be feelings that are coming from within. And and we see now a year has passed, and what I didn't hear from Eijii is that he's in therapy, and that's really where he needs to be. Really, what Eijii should have been telling us at this point is that I'm spending some time with myself and my new therapist, and we didn't hear that, unfortunately. I thought it was so interesting to see that when brought out her new fiance, Brandon, who is a whole chicken for himself, he's a chicken, y'all, that Eijii got up from the stage and walked off. Basically, Eijii said, he's a chicken, and I know I'm a chicken, and there ain't room on this stage for two chickens. So I'm going to exit stage left. Eijii said, I ain't going to be out-chickened. I am not going to be out-chickened by this man. And what Eijii says is, I'm out of my league. And he might be right, y'all. I tell you what, girl, you can pick them. Girl, you can pick them. You done gone from one chicken to another chicken. You know, Eijii has this part of him where Eijii likes to attract attention through bad behavior. So if any of you have kids, you know the difference between attention-getting kids. Some kids like to attract attention through bad behavior. That's how they like to get your attention. And then there are some kids who like to attract your attention by having outrageous behavior, right? It may not be necessarily like the sort of spirit that Eijii gives, but it's inappropriate behavior. Let's put it that way. It's inappropriate. Eijii likes attention through bad behavior, because then what that gets you to do is it gets you to sit there and ask Eijii a bunch of questions and talk to him. And then what he can do is he continue to have the bad, I don't want to talk. Well, you have all this bad behavior, but you don't want to talk. But then you talk about how nobody wants to get to know you. You see, it's a cycle. So what it really is, you're really still concentrating on Eijii, but the reason why you're concentrating on him is you're trying to figure out why he has his bad behavior. But in the end, it's still giving Eijii attention. You see, it's a way to get attention. It's negative attention because of his negative behavior, his negative bad attitude. Eijii has a bad attitude, and that bad attitude gets him attention. Now, that's who had. And what we saw with is she was willing to feed into it. So the more Eijii acted out and acted bad and acted horribly, what would do is give him more and more and more attention. So he really is getting fulfilled, because what you have is you have this bad attitude man and you have this woman who's constantly chasing the chicken, the bad attitude chicken. And so what he can sit over here and do is, I don't want you, I don't like you, I got a bad attitude, but I want you to keep chasing me. Because why is Ike upset that is now running over here and chasing another chicken? Why do you care, Ike? Everybody wanted to say, why did Michelle care that David was off with Madison, right? Everybody wants to say that. You treated David so horribly. Michelle, why do you care? Eijii, you treated so horribly. You didn't like her. She didn't like you. Why do you care? Or why do you still have horrible, nasty behavior? Because is now over here chasing Brandon. You know why? Because the bad attitude has nothing to do with The bad attitude, just like Michelle's bad attitude, has nothing really to do with David. It has to do with it's who they are, period. And what they do is, when that bad attitude shows up, when Michelle Walls show up, when Eijii's bad attitude shows up, what they look to do is blame an exterior person for that bad attitude, but that bad attitude is always with them no matter where they go. You see? So now you have who chased the chicken all season long with Eijii. She chased that chicken, and now she ain't chasing it no more, and Eijii still has a bad attitude. Now, talking about bad habits. Now has gone from chasing a bad attitude Eijii to chasing another bad child, an inappropriate child, and that is Brandon. He's inappropriate. He loves attention, and people who love attention are willing to do it in any type of way, and they're also willing to do it even at the expense of you. First of all, I don't really even know why Brandon has this much camera time, because he wasn't on the show. He really wasn't on the show. But I tell you, people who think that Brandon and MM's relationship isn't going to last, I'm not one of them that thinks it's not going to last. Because MS is actually doing the same thing she did with Eijii, and that is she's pacifying bad behavior. Brandon's behavior is inappropriate. And what she does is she encourages it, and she leans into it, and she talks about how much she loves it, and it's bad. It's bad behavior. It's inappropriate. There were so many inappropriate moments with Brandon. The first inappropriate moment with Brandon, or one of them, was when he even came out. And when he started to come out on the stage, Eijii got up and he left. And Brandon, in his burst of emotion, said, "I told you, I want to bet. I want to bet." That's so immature. That is so immature to scream that out on camera, that you want to bet, that I bet he wasn't going to shake my hand. Well, more than likely, I wouldn't even put it past Brandon that he's gone up to Eijii and said some things to Eijii. I'm pretty sure he did. I'm pretty sure that he has gone up to Eijii, said some things, and that's how Eijii has figured out that I'm not the biggest chicken anymore. I am giving up the throne to this man because he's a bigger chicken than me, and I believe it. You know, when we first started hearing about this story between Eijii and, MM and Brandon, and this story about Brandon was sleeping on the couch, I said then, when you're sleeping on the couch, that means you left something abruptly and you didn't have time to secure housing for yourself. And what I said was that that means Brandon left his marital home very, very abruptly. And at the time, I didn't know, did he leave abruptly because the wife said, "Get the F out"? Or did he leave abruptly based on the story that Brandon told, when Brandon said what, he was in the right car but on the wrong street for 10 years? Or was it on the right street but in the wrong car? It was the right street. The street was the street of marriage, but the car he was in was the car with his wife. And so he wants to be on the marriage road, but he doesn't want to be on the marriage road in the car with his ex-wife. So I think he said he was on the right street, but in the wrong car. And therefore he left his marriage. I don't believe it. I believe his wife left him. And let me tell you why I believe his wife left him. I realized that his wife left him when he started telling the story that his kids love MM. And in fact, his kids call MM a lot and talk to her, sometimes even more so if they will call him. There it is right there. Let me tell you something. The way that Brandon left that marriage, started hooking up with another woman, proposing to a woman, buying a ring when he wasn't even divorced from his wife, and those children and that wife, let me say that wife has not had an enormous amount of bitterness in which she has turned her bitterness in her children against Brandon or MM, tells me that that wife is real cool with Brandon moving on. And that's what I said. Come on, people, work with me, work with me. Because if you are a wife and you had a husband in Brandon, and let's say you was in love with your husband and you wanted to make the marriage work and you really want to be in the marriage, but Brandon was the one that said, "I'm in the wrong car, in the wrong street, and now I'm going to leave, and now I'm going to go off, and I'm going to propose and marry a woman that I just met." If you are that wife, you would feel a certain kind of way that this man has gone off, spent all this money on a ring. He got child support to pay. He got a divorce he needs to go through. This is telling me that that wife was the one that said, you can go on and leave. That's why he's on that couch, because that wife is fine with it. Because if those kids are fine with it, that means that wife is fine with it. Let me tell you, we know how this works. Married men out there who've been divorced, you know how it works. If you got beef with that mother, unfortunately, it shouldn't always be this way, but it could make for a rocky road with you and your children going forward if that woman is so bitter and she causes rift with your children. So when Brandon sat on here and talked about how great the blending of the families has been with MM, the ex-wife, the children, MM's family, that wife has said, you can have them. You can have them. And that wife said, I'm going to still get half of that pension since you're a firefighter, lieutenant, and you've been with the fire department for a long time. I'm going to still get half of that pension in this divorce. She sure will. I'm going to still get this child support. And MM, you know what you can do? You can have all the inappropriate behavior that I was sick of, because MM is a doctor. What is she, a nurse practitioner? She thinks she's just a nurse practitioner of facial expressions and Botox and wrestling. She's going to be a nurse practitioner of bad attitude, bad behavior. Because Brandon, he gets the chicken award because he has some really inappropriate behavior. Like I said, that first explosion on the stage, I won my bet. That was inappropriate. Let me tell you the next inappropriate expression of Brandon was when he sat on there and said that Eijii fumbled the ball because here you had this thirsty woman for you. Y'all, he called MM thirsty on national TV. He said, here you had this thirsty woman for you. MM should have cocked her neck to her man and been like, did you just call me thirsty? Yeah. He said she was so thirsty for him and he didn't want her. But I would love a woman to be thirsty like that for me. I would love all this attention. And that's what I like, because she is thirsty for me too. Inappropriate. So very inappropriate. Next inappropriate moment was when they started talking about, do you guys want kids? And Brandon said, we were blessed with one, but I don't know what he said. But basically, he was the one that actually told the story or opened the door for the fact that MM had a miscarriage. Inappropriate. Inappropriate. That's not your story to tell. I don't care if you were the father of the child. It's inappropriate. It was inappropriate for you to begin a conversation to reveal on national TV that MM had a miscarriage. And he was the one that introduced the story, talking about we were blessed to have been blessed with it, but it didn't come to fruition. And therefore, we knew right then that MM had a miscarriage, and then she had to talk about it. I mean, she didn't have to talk about it, but she did. Like I said, pacifying bad behavior. He's a chicken. He's a chicken. And now what I want to ask is, are you telling me that MM became pregnant by a man that was still married? I don't know what the timeline is. From what I hear, everyone's now divorced. And in fact, I just heard that MM is actually married to Brandon. So I don't know how the timeline worked. I don't know if MM became pregnant with Brandon's child prior to him and her being divorced, or even prior to them getting married. But girl, MM, I think they're going to be together, y'all. MM has a large capacity to sort of coddle this type of behavior. And I think she's going to have a large capacity for Brian too. That's why I know a lot of y'all got mad at me last week when I was saying that Madison and David made a good couple. And I think a lot of you misunderstood me when I said that they made a good couple. It's not because I like David and Madison. It's because all I said was you could look at the characteristics of two people, and even though those characteristics cannot be necessarily good characteristics, if they fit, they fit. And when you look at Brandon and you look at MM has a large, very, very large capacity to coddle bad behavior. And Brandon has a lot of bad behavior. So they fit. Now, could it run out? Absolutely could run out, but you don't know when it will run out because you don't actually know how large their capacity is. So will the relationship last 30 years? I don't know. Will it last 10 years? Will it last 5 years? I don't know. But a lot of you who are predicting the demise of these relationships within the first, let's say, couple of years, I don't believe it. I believe these people have enough capacity to make the relationship work. And let me tell you something, a lot of marriages don't last. Most marriages only last 5 years. It's almost like they talk about the cancer survival rate. You know, to be called a cancer survivor, it's not that you have to live forever without passing away from cancer. Once you've passed 5 years of living past your first cancer diagnosis, you're considered a cancer survivor. So these couples don't have to make it to 30 years to be called a survivor of the marriage. And that's what I'm saying about these couples, that they have enormous capacity. One of the partners has enormous capacity to put up with the crap of the other partner beyond which maybe a normal person would. And what I'm saying here is Brandon already had one wife that put up with him for 10 years, right? And now he has another one in MM, and I think she can go 10 years too. I really do. So I think they're going to make it. But the whole pregnancy or miscarriage thing wasn't the last bit of inappropriate behavior by Brandon. Then he had to get up and he had to tell Pastor Cal, I want you to marry me and MM right now. I don't want to leave this stage without us being married. Inappropriate. More inappropriate behavior to get attention. Like I said, MM is the queen of loving this stuff, and she loved it. And there she was sitting there talking about, ooh, I want to do it. I want to do it. My man, my man, my man, my man. She got a lot of capacity, y'all. She ain't going nowhere. MM ain't going nowhere. But luckily, Pastor Cal was like, I might put y'all together on Married at First Sight. Pastor Cal was like, I might do some lousy matches on Married at First Sight, even though I know y'all shouldn't be together. But what I'm not going to do is I ain't going to marry you myself. Pastor Cal said, I may set up the matches and send you off over here to get married on TV with these other pastors who marry you. But what I'm not going to do is marry you myself because I don't even believe in your marriage. Pastor Cal was like, I don't believe in this union with you and Eijii. You might as well marry Pastor Cal because maybe you can have a successful marriage because you ain't got no winners over here. Pastor Cal trying to be all picky about how he get his winning percentage up. You better take the wins where you can get them. And let me tell you, you'll probably have more of a successful match with MM and Brandon than you have for the last 18 season on Married at First Sight. And the last I actually think one of the most inappropriate moments of Brandon, if y'all didn't catch it, was when he said that MM was his Olivia Pope. Now, y'all, think about this. I don't know if any of y'all watched Olivia Pope. She used to be on the show called Scandal. First of all, the show was called Scandal. And I know that maybe Brandon was trying to give a play off of that. Eijii wanted his Michelle Obama. So maybe Brandon said, I don't want to use a Michelle Obama because that's what Ike was talking about. He wanted his Michelle Obama. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another woman who is Olivia Pope. But here's the problem, Brandon Chickenhead. Olivia Pope was called a fixer. Olivia Pope was a fixer of scandals. So what are you saying? That MM fixes scandals? Like I said, she loves to fix inappropriate behavior. So I'm going to agree with you on that one, Brandon. The second part of Olivia Pope is Olivia Pope. As much as I love that show, I was a faithful watcher and I loved Kerry Washington. Olivia Pope was sleeping with the President of the United States, who was a married man. So what are you saying? MM was sleeping with a married man and was creating a scandal. Were you married when MM was sleeping with you? And before I forget the last embarrassment, inappropriate moment, what was this? talking about all the humping they were doing. Inappropriate. So this man is revealing that we was humping, we was doing the nasty, we was doing the wild thing, inappropriate. Then he says she's my Olivia Pope. Were you doing all that humping and the wild thing while you were still married to your wife? And was Eminem doing all of that? Inappropriate, y'all. And this girl is sitting on the screen, grinning and smiling, talking about, yeah, Pastor Cal, go ahead and marry us. Woo, 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 woo. Where's Luffy? Where is Luffy? We need Luffy. I tell y'all, we're gonna have to see what happens on this. Where are they now? 1 year later, the previews look juicy, and I can't wait to watch it. So I'll see y'all next week when we review the Where Are They Now episode. But that's it. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment down below. Talk to y'all later. Bye.